Nation, where we are busy putting death out of business, and we'd like to thank Thrivous for sponsoring this episode. Again, you got to go and compete with Mike DeVerde, who's been scooping up all of that cash. Well done to Mike DeVerde for doing that. But Thrivous is their mission to help you access technology with the greatest potential to improve your brain and body, and they're doing that through nootropics and geoprotectors. So this episode of Detonation is sponsored by Thrivous, a human enhancement company. Thrivous is giving exponential gifts to Detonation fans. Each gift starts at $5 and increases exponentially to $160 based on the number of fans that share the episode of Detonation within 24 hours. So the more people sharing, the more money you're going to make. So what can you do to lose? Go to the description, follow the link description, and you'll be richer health-wise.
What kind of human enhancement are we talking about here, Steele?
You're talking about Superman powers. Superman powers. You'll be getting Superman powers. So Mike DeVerde has been winning that battle, but we're here to talk about the March debate. And before we do that, I also want to talk about Raft. This is something I'm plugging. I'm making sure everybody's going to hear about this. Raft 2035 roadmap to abundance, flourishing, and transcendence by 2035. David Wood is coming on the show on Wednesday, my time, Tuesday, most of your time. He's in the UK. It's a funny time zone over there for us here. But look, listen, he's coming on Wednesday, so get excited for that. All right, now the March debate. You see in the corner there, that 27 days, 5 minutes, 5 hours, 24 minutes. Kriston Harris and Ben Zion, 2020. I've got you guys around the wrong way in the namesake. Hey, Kriston Harris, open up. Welcome to the show. Good to see you. You're the Mega Man from Rundown Live. It's really good to see you again. How are you? How you been?
I'm doing good, man. I've been busy, very busy. Mega Man, geez, that's one of my favorite Nintendo video games growing up. It's pretty crazy that you'd reference that. But yeah, the Rundown Live is up and kicking. We're still doing good. We're still out there. I was recently at the Trump rally here in Milwaukee covering the protests, as well as interviewing the Trumpkin followers. And, when I was there, it seemed like nobody had any clue why they were there. It was like the Trump guys were there. They sounded like a surreal South Park character going, Trump, 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 Trump. Like he could never do anything wrong. And you're like, yeah, so how do you feel about him being extremely strict on the Second Amendment more than any presidential, president we've had in the past? And they're like, well, Trump, 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 Trump. And then I went and talked to the protesters, and they're like, well, he's all awful. There's not one good thing the guy could ever do. And he's racist. And Trump heads out, blah, blah, blah. And it just seemed like nobody really had anything but media talking points to why they were there. It kind of reminded me back in the day when I would have a debate about religious aspects with somebody, and they'd be like, only if you talk to my pastor, he'd be able to tell you exactly what I believe. It's kind of right down to that ideology right there, where it's just a lot of QAnon people. And I know a little bit about this, and I don't want to get in the conspiratorial world, but there were a lot of QAnon people, which was very distraughting to me, because QAnon, many people don't know, is a fraud. It is a gimmick, and people are making money off of it. I know this for a fact, and I don't want to get into it. Also, on the left, we saw a lot of people, they inflated literally the coolest thing I've ever seen. It was like a 40-foot tall chicken Donald Trump inflatable beast. I have it on video. Go to Kriston T. Harris on Facebook or the Rundown Live. You'll see it there. But I want to get into really tonight a cause that's really dear to my heart. I've been involved since 2011, and that is the Free and Equal Elections Foundation. It's a fantastic opportunity to really get out there, and we do a lot of work to try to help promote not just independent candidates, but all candidates, and really push for what we are calling now the first ever open debate, which will have not only major party candidates, minor party candidates, and third party candidates. By minor party candidates, that means they have to be on 2 ballots in the United States to be elected or for a presidential candidate. That's all we're requiring. Previously, it's always been that they've had to have enough electoral or opportunity for enough electoral votes to win. But what the main point here is more choice, more voices, more choices, more people will be able to hear more candidates and ideas than they've ever been able to hear before.
Yes, and that's what we find really, really exciting. Ben Zion, you're going to wade into this debate as well. You have the ability. You're the FEC candidate. You have the ability to wade into this debate. Are you excited for this?
Oh yes, indeed. And I couldn't agree more with what Kristan said about Christina Tubin and the Free and Equal Election Foundation. And I just want to say also, I'm sitting here with two of my favorite people, definitely two of my favorite transhumanists. And, you know, it's sometimes said about transhumanists that we talk a big game, but when you put a lot of us in a room, there's mostly what's going on is bickering. But these two guys here have done an awful lot to advance the cause of transhumanism, an incredible amount in recent months to see that these goals of life extension and these other things in techno-futurism that we want are given a fair shake. And I want to thank you both. And Kristan, thank you for coming on with me and talking about this incredible event. I'm so much looking forward to getting to Chicago, in spite of the cold weather. Not a fan of the cold, but I do love that Windy City, and I'm looking forward to this event. And, you know, looking at this press release from earlier in this week, I'm excited to meet a lot of these guys. You know, these are people that whose talks I've been watching and materials I've been reading for many years. So this is really going to be an exciting day for me.
Well, it's not only exciting. Yeah, I just want to say it's not only exciting. It's a historic day. I was able to be part of the 2012 push, which we ended up having Larry King moderate the 2012 debate with Jill Stein, Gary Johnson, Virgil Good, and Rocky Anderson. And that was the first televised third-party debates in history, moderated by Larry King. And I was on C-SPAN, Al Jazeera, and RTUSA. I know we don't talk about a lot about this, or I don't, but it's one of the causes that's really important to me. I've been a third-party guy for a large part of my life. It's always been something where I've associated as a person who's been a long-time libertarian. Now I'm a transhumanist party member. That's the only party I have a membership to at the moment. You know, I think it's really important that people get to understand that this two-party duopoly, this binary voting system, is corrupt. It's wrong. It doesn't work. And the reason why it doesn't work is because you got two sides that have different rhetoric, but they both have the same outcome, regardless who is in office. And what we're seeing now, did you guys pay attention to the Democratic caucus where they have this new supposed app because of the fraud in 2016 against Bernie Sanders? They have this new app that was supposedly to prevent this. And all of a sudden, by the way, this app has direct ties to Hillary Clinton. I don't mean to be conspiratorial, but it comes with my turf. If you invite me on, there's going to be something conspiratorial. Hillary Clinton, direct ties. And, you know, it's the company's called Shadow Inc. I'm just throwing it out there. And it's, at what point do people just go, I mean, come on. This person keeps getting tied to all these issues. It keeps reoccurring. And all of a sudden the votes are messed up. And there was literally posts from people running for Congress saying that the totals didn't match up from the initial ballot counts to what the Bernie Sanders people recorded, because he secretly had people at all the caucuses writing down all the totals so that when they were reported, they could compare numbers. And within just a few moments, he had 5 lawyers calling the DNC and kind of forcing a genuine count. So for those who don't think that there's a conspiracy there, at least Bernie Sanders thought there was a conspiracy there because he was prepared for the conspirators. But this app just doesn't work. And one thing, Christina Tobin, which Ben kind of stole my thunder there, which I'm fine with. You know, one thing that she has done that's been very wonderful is she's brought great awareness to having the opportunity to have more people on stage, bring awareness to more people, getting them more publicity, and having the world understand that there's more choices. Since the 2012 debate, third parties have garnered more votes than ever before in history. Just look at the last election with Gary Johnson and Jill Stein, both setting record number votes for both their parties. And I'm not saying that we can claim that all on our own, but what I can say is we were definitely a tool or an instrument that helped grease the wheels there to make things speed along. So, it's really great. I'm very happy to be able to be part of this organization as a media coordinator, as well as communications director, and helping out making things happen on March 4th. By the way, major thanks to Gennady from the Transhumanist-Party and anyone else who's donated. We've had quite a few big donors step up, and we have some great potential moderators. And I don't want to get into that too much, but what I really want to get into is the failure of this app in the Democratic Party, because Free and Equal, we have our very first blockchain-based voting app that's coming out.
Wow, cool.
That
Yeah,
is an exciting development. Yeah, I had read a little bit about that, and I'd love to discuss that some more. That is something that is also at the center of the techno-futurist e-governance cause, and that does look like just an incredible piece of technology. We're talking about bad apps. This looks like a good app. Yeah.
Well, it's an election assistant app to promote transparency and empower voters with information about all their candidate choices. As we've seen the Democratic Party try to do some kind of ranked voting here and have it completely backfire, if you don't have a blockchain, if you don't have something to verify and keep things in order, you're not going to have that genuine voting. And this is exactly what they don't want. They want the ability to rig things. They want the ability to adjust things. As somebody who I was hired by independent lawyers in 2011 to investigate potential fraud in the primary here in Wisconsin, as well as in other areas, and pull polling tapes, as well as kind of watch and see what's going on. What did we find? We found satchels of votes being thrown away in garbage bins in college districts in Iowa. We saw computers miscounting ballots. We saw all sorts of crazy miscommunication from the people who are reporting the votes from the person who is writing down the totals. There's so many opportunities for fraud. Even in the caucuses, you can have people fake come in and have their second choice be. So if one candidate's followers are more likely to have a second choice of Bernie, Hillary Clinton could easily have gotten a bunch of her schmucks in there and had them be like, yeah, we're here for so-and-so, and our second choice is Hillary Clinton, not Bernie Sanders, to up her total, ranking. So as we're seeing here, blockchain is really a great answer. You're seeing you'll see like a database for every candidate running for office, whether it's Democrats, Republicans, party candidates, independents. Candidate details, you'll be able to research bio, their voting record, which is very important. If you want to know how they vote and where they really stand versus what they say, just look at their voting record. We have a guy here in Wisconsin that's like that, Paul Ryan. He says all these great things, but when it comes to it, it's big banker bailouts, it's TARP bailouts, it's Obamacare when he's supposed to be conservative, socialized health care, all these things. And then once you get to see the voting record, you have a better idea of who's in his back pocket other than what he says. You'll be able to interact with candidate through support tools, maybe send them questions. You'll be able to watch educational videos from Free and Equal on projects, on the debate, and other things. It's pretty cool. It's pretty neat, and I'm really excited. I think that as a nation, blockchain might eventually be the answer to voting, and we are experimenting this. And I don't want to steal Christina Tobin's thunder, but rumor has it our first attempt to use this will be by the audiences on March 4th at the Chicago Hilton debate.
That is exciting. And, this is one of my biggest pet peeves of it. We're talking a little bit about Sanders and Sanders supporters. A lot of these folks, they're not necessarily progressive hardliners. And an awful lot of them are people who are highly skeptical of the use of the blockchain and e-governance measures to enhance transparency. They often completely disregard this benefit of enhanced transparency and using this technology in a better way. So they look at the failings of apps like the kind that we discussed in Iowa, or other sorts of problems with voting machines and other systems being hacked or manipulated. That's a very serious problem. But rather than trying to use better class of technology and new technologies to solve those problems, they point to solutions that are equally rife with problems. The paper ballots, historically, a tremendous number of these have been lost or manipulated over the years. It's no coincidence that we have these terms like burning the ballot box or stuffing the ballot box to describe this kind of manipulation. And we can do better than that in the 21st century. And many of these people are taking what I would consider to be a Luddite position on this. And I really am excited that someone of the caliber of Christina Tubin is rolling something like this out. And I hope that the USTP, speaking as a vice chair of the USTP and as a representative in this context, I know that we will do whatever we can to support precisely this kind of blockchain usage that she is. So you have our full support there.
Yeah, it's powered by Nexus Earth, blockchain and election assistant app. We're really excited to have it. There's going to be a lot of great candidates there. Just to give you an idea, if you guys are big fans of the Green Party, wow, that's a verbal disaster. Thanks, guys. Green Party. Howie Hawkins is going to be there. Zoltan Istvan, Ben Zion from the Transhumanist-Party, Mark Stewart from the Democratic Party. These are just a name of your Gloria La Riva, Party for the Socialism and Party for Socialism and
She's a new addition.
Yes, and we got more irons in the fire per se, and there's some bigger names that may be joining us, which we're really excited about. It's an all-inclusive event. We even have some candidates from all sorts of parties like the Prohibition Party, just to show you the diversity. We're just trying to reach out to everyone because we think that everyone deserves a fair share of communication, that everyone should have opportunity. And if we have unity in these situations and we have honesty, that I think that we'd have a lot more peaceful elections and primaries. I saw many Bernie Sanders. If you go in any Bernie Sanders group on Facebook or forum at the moment, it's all rage. It's all fraud, conspiracy. Some people were saying that this kind of fraud can cause or could stir up the ideology to cause violence because of the way the fraud is taking place, that they know it's happening. It's just one of those things where I think that we need to come together and we need to learn how to produce more viewpoints than just two. It's ridiculous to think that two parties can really represent the entire colorful diversity in the United States. And I'm a big person on diversity. I firmly believe that is false, that these two parties do not represent the diversity of the United States. I think somebody more like Ben Zion represents the diversity of the transhumanist party. Gloria might be more of a socialist, or Howie Hawkins might represent people who are interested in environmental issues, libertarians who are more interested in, let's say, social liberties and protecting our freedoms. These people tend, how about the Constitution Party? Don Blankenship, one of the top candidates there. They all have different benefits, and people tend to veer towards a party that they relate towards. And I think that a lot of people just don't understand that there's more than two options. And the only vote that seems to actually get counted correctly is the protest vote by the third party.
I've just shared some of the information about this blockchain app. An incredible thing. I know people are going to be excited about this. Another thing that people are excited about in this, there's a lot of whispers from people that I know, from Transhumanist Party boosters, supporters, insiders, about the moderators. There's a lot of excitement about this. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I'm really looking forward to seeing seeing how that shakes out, because I know that the list of people that we discussed, it's really going to be an exciting dynamic there.
Steel Archer, that was on the list.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the digital debate. Is there anything happening there?
Well, we've discussed.
Well, we are doing this VR debate after, but we do want to focus on the crossing of present bridges. Yeah, we also are doing the first ever virtual reality presidential debate in Q2.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, this idea about the blockchain and Bernie, going back to what Kriston Harris was saying, I thought was interesting, and what Ben Zion was saying, I thought was interesting, because a greater adoption of these sort of transparent, self-reforming, self-generating mechanism, a digital mechanism, would actually have increased transparency. And so, like Kriston was saying, you go a lot on the forums, and people are complaining that it's the Hillary Clintons of the world that have, or the DNC that have pushed Bernie out again. This wouldn't be so true in a blockchain world, because you can't cheat a blockchain, because all the computers wouldn't verify the node. So why aren't Bernie people? And I know why Bernie people aren't like this, but I want your ideas. Why aren't Bernie people educated on these new technologies, that will enhance transparency and enhance electability for their own candidates? Kriston.
I think that there's an aspect where Bernie followers are very religious right now in their intentions, and cryptocurrency seems to come off as a right-wing thing, and that alone really gives them an idea that they shouldn't invest any time in it. Although I'm sure there are some that do. I think that it's kind of one of those things where you got to put party lines aside and realize that's really policies that matter. Like, if we all got to vote on policies instead of people, I think we'd have a lot more of what we want as a general public. Imagine a blockchain world where free and equal may host the ability for people to vote on policies that normally would have been settled by an assemblyman or by a senator, and we could do it directly from home. And as where we may have a say, instead of actually having one individual that we vote in that's imperfect, that is taking lobbyist money, that may be, kind of not in their best interest. We can actually get some prosperity based on what we vote.
Ben Zion, why aren't Bernie Sanders fans walking up and down the street saying blockchain voting now? Why is it not happening? Is Kriston right? Is blockchain more of a right-wing thing?
I think that some of this is it's a cultural artifact. There was this period in U.S. history, the space race, and an interest in a high level of technofuturism and popular culture, and that waned. People became cynical about this. They don't have that interest anymore. They still are open to this, but that doesn't necessarily. It doesn't reflect. I think present day realities. If people were actively clamoring for this, actively organizing and taking an interest in techno-futurist developments, new technologies being used in the best way possible, then we would see the kinds of things that Kriston referred to. We would see a situation where we are voting more for policies, where we are seeing more decentralized and efficient approaches to problem solving in governments and larger civil society. And these folks, I think that maybe singling out people on the left, because I think overwhelmingly, or there's a very strong correlation among these people as not being specifically Luddites, but they aren't organizing in the way that I would like, and that is a legitimate critique of these people, and that's reflected by something we were talking about a few moments ago, this tendency of these people to be demanding paper ballots instead of demanding better and more transparent solutions to these problems. And that is really unfortunate, and that's and that's demonstrated in many other ways. But I would say that by and large, these are the folks who we can count on to support new technology. But I do agree with the characterization that a certain kind of crypto interest it's very post-partisan. It doesn't and
I think
having an association with it being sort of an alt-light kind of thing. I think that's silliness, but that is in the popular imagination.
I don't think it's all right thing. I think that just people are poorly educated and they don't understand blockchain. They don't understand.
I think what happens is they get crypto and blockchain mixed up. They see crypto as a sort of shadowy money system, and they think that blockchain and crypto are totally related. But actually, blockchain and crypto, if you actually want, they can be as far apart as you want. You don't have to. They're not correlated. I mean, you can have a blockchain voting system, and you don't have to generate tokens or coins. So, I think there's.
Blockchain is just the engine that runs crypto, and it can run 1,000 things besides.
Yeah, exactly.
People are seeing only the tip of the iceberg when you say blockchain, and they instantly think of cryptocurrency speculation.
Yeah, there's a bad marketing critique between blockchain and crypto there. Kriston Harris, I'm moving over to you. March 4th debate. You said your last one in 2012 was historic. It was the first televised one. How historic is this debate going to be?
Well, it's another first. It's going to be the first ever open debates that will just not include only major and third-party candidates, but as well as minor third-party candidates. Heck, I might run for the Pirate Party and be there too. Who knows? I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm saying? Anyone has the opportunity as long as they're willing to put in some work and get on a few states' ballots. And what it really is encouraging is the right behaviors of getting people involved, getting people to run for office, getting people to go out and collect signatures. Because if you can collect signatures for a presidential campaign for the Pirate Party, well, why can't you collect signatures to run for school board, which is probably the most powerful position you can hold in a local community? There's a lot that goes through the school board. It's just getting people through the door, getting them to understand, this is their potential, and giving more people more options out there. Why should we just have two candidates in debates? We should be able to have all candidates in the debates. And that's what it really comes down to.
Yeah, this is a bigger topic. Why? Like you have the Republican primaries, you have the Democratic primaries, and you don't see other political parties represented on the stage. If you want to become the president of the United States, you have to be aligned with one of these two parties. And it's been like that historically, except for if you're talking about the Whigs way back when. So
actually, the largest third party in American history is the first third party presidential candidate that was in debates was actually the anti-Masonic Party. And it's funny to mention this because that is the reason why we only have two parties right now, is because of the fact that the two parties, Republicans and the Federalists at the time, decided that they would no longer allow a third party because it was too dangerous for obvious reasons. And you can look that up. It's a very interesting historical conversation. That's another thing you get with me, is some alternative history. If you don't know that the first large third party was the anti-Masonic Party, you can look it up. But yeah, you're right. The Libertarian Party is currently the largest third party, probably the largest third party in American history. And you got the Greens creeping up there, and then the Constitution Party.
Yeah. And I think I want to call back what you said about the Pirate Party, because they're not a significant organization in the U.S., but they are substantial in other countries. And the World Pirate Party movement, people think, oh, that's by North American standards, that's maybe a silly sounding name, what the pirates, but with the things that they stand for are very much a techno-optimist sorts of things, the kind of things that we were talking about before, e-governance and blockchain voting measures. And I would be overjoyed if you took up the banner of the Pirate Party in the United States. We were also talking, Kriston, not so long ago about the Reform Party. There's a little bit of a vacuum there in who's running.
Well, Ross Perot, remember that guy? The guy who was winning in all the polls, and he stepped down saying that my family was threatened, and I endorse George Bush. You can look up the video yourself. That's exactly what he said. And he felt his family is more important, and he still garnered like 15% of the votes, because people liked what he had to say. It just shows you that people are sick of the two-party system. Gary Johnson garnered 4,500,000 votes in this last election. That's almost double what any libertarian has done prior. But with that, one thing I will say that I noticed between both parties is they both gave away part of their consciousness of what they stand for in order to get those results. Gary Johnson taking on Bill Weld, a big Goldman Sachs guy, Council on Foreign Relations guy, which is completely anti-libertarian in mindset. Jill Stein endorsing Hillary Clinton, which is something that was unthinkable years prior in 2012. You wouldn't see that ever, but Hillary felt she needed that, obviously, because every vote counted at that point. And you're going to see lobbyism. We saw lobbyism like none other for the first time in history be saturated in both parties. And we saw how quick establishment figures like Johnson, like Stein, were willing to negotiate their libertarian and Green Party principles in order to garner a little bit more political influence.
Yes, and between that and the wholesale electoral dysfunction, the corruption, I mean, it really is. We really live in a country where the democratic process has been set aside in favor of this highly curated set of processes that have nothing to do with the betterment of our people or any sense of fairness or representation, and that is the reason that I'm not a Democrat anymore. It's a reason that I'm pleased to represent the Transhumanist Party, and I think you guys are probably in a similar kind of space. That it's not just it's a time for reform. I do believe that the 2020s is the time for the Techno-Futurist project to take on exciting new dimensions.
Yeah, I totally agree. Reading this Roth 2035 book, which I'm madly trying to get everyone to look it up, Roadmap for Abundance, Flourishing, and Transcendence, awesome book. Check it out. I can't emphasize it enough. This is going to be a turbulent time, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to see so much technological change. And trust me, you want the change to be positive, because the negative effects of the change is really not worth contemplating. It's kind of a dull experience, actually, because you probably won't live very long to see it. So you kind of want it to go in the positive direction. But here's some of the things that the USTP can bring to the debate platform. Technological advocacy and policies for achieving longevity, which you do not hear about from any of the other platforms. Civil liberties, individual freedoms, these are represented by other platforms, but a lot of the e-governance, a lot of the technological side, these are all omitted. And this is really the digital era, the cybernetic era, the digital age. These will be represented. Rights and well-being of sentient beings. You do not hear about this from other platforms. Addressing existential risks. Again, you don't hear this from other platforms unless they're banging their head against the United Nations or they're talking about a national project. But sometimes you have to think about international projects to be safe. Coronavirus is one of those examples, right? Rationality in education, reforming political processes and improving governmental accountability, economic and fiscal policy, international initiatives, technological solutions, and to social issues. Really, really important points that are going to be elevated onto the national stage. How do you plan to represent these points, Benzo, in 2020?
Yes. Well, it is something that's almost universally overlooked by political figures and pundits and our culture, is the role that technology plays in the ordering of a civil society. You know, it's 6 generations ago, by ancestral DNA analysis, everybody on Earth You, me, my sainted mother, the Queen, the Pope in Rome, everybody on Earth is closely related to a lot of incestuous cannibals. And what's changed in those 6-7 generations that we're not living like wild animals anymore? It's the advance of technology in insinuating a kind of order onto our lifestyles. And this is something everyone wants to point at other things. This present state of the marketplace, the present state of politics. And to ignore the role of techno progress in that is to purposefully deflect from the central thing in improving our lives. And as we're looking at accelerating effects of this kind over the course of this decade and the next decade, thinking in these terms, I think, is even more important. We could talk a lot about the futurist New Deal and the policy initiatives that we've described. I could refer people to other previous programs of detonation or resources elsewhere for some of that. But it is something that our society needs to seriously consider, the ways that we're not thinking clearly about how technology has influenced our lives, has tripled our average lifespan since the Enlightenment, and how that is going to continue at a faster and faster pace, how we need to try to anticipate that. The kinds of technologies are anticipatory themselves. We have predictive algorithms that are going to be able to predict the weather many years from now, predict human affairs to a lesser degree, and aspects of the marketplace. These things are not. There's a little more variables in something like this, even in predicting the weather. But the point is that we can see problems coming. That Pope in Rome, myself, and a homeless man that I passed this morning, we all share this one thing in common: we don't see anything coming, not a day in advance. And that is something that's changing in the course of this decade. And that is something that has incredible, as well as other advanced algorithms, incredible implications for the ordering of our society and for an increasingly affluent society.
Kriston Harris, respond to that, and then also, what other debate topics are you looking forward to hearing about? You know, you've got a huge diversity of candidates and different political parties. You yourself are going to rock in there with the Pirate Party ? What do you say? Well,
first of all, I want to mention that maybe only Ben Zion came from incestuous cannibals here. One of the things I think that we also have to learn is that history is very different than what we've been told, and I think ancient man was a lot smarter out of the get-go than us walking out of a sludge pool and being apes. I think that there's a very different history to be told, and I think that's something that with technology we'll be able to prove, and I think technology is a wonderful thing. I think, yes, I agree with Ben Zion. There's a crazy amount of technology that's coming out that will be able to predict the future, predict stock market, be able to diagnose you and cure you and develop a cure. I think there's a lot of great things that technology has to offer, and I think it's a beautiful thing. The question is what kind of hoops and what kind of walls do we have to get through, like the Kool-Aid guy, in order to make these things happen, and who's going to try to prevent them. Also, as far as the debate goes, there's so many different viewpoints, and diversity is such a beautiful thing. I think if we learn to respect each other and be able to have a civil conversation about these things, we'll learn that there's a lot more things that we even thought about that we have in common that we didn't even realize. Just like when you put two people in the room, like Mike and I, when we do the Rundown Live, Mike came from the Occupy movement. I came from the Ron Paul Libertarian movement. Who knew we both hated the Federal Reserve? Decentralized currency was an answer. Who knew that we both like civil rights and constitutional rights? Who knew that, we both are Green Bay Packer fans? I mean, we are from Wisconsin, state-ordained religion. But I think that when it comes to the questions, the really important thing is that we really get what's important to the general public. So some of the questions will be pre-thought out. We're going to open up some of the potential questions to people who are at the event, at least one. We usually do 1 or 2 questions to people who attend the event, and the sponsors. So we divide it into 3 different ways. The sponsors, we survey the internet, and we survey the individuals who come to the event. And I think that's how we are going to be coming up with a majority of our questions. And candidates will have majority of the questions available to them prior to the debate, obviously, so that they can prepare for it appropriately. And I think Ben Zion will really have an opportunity to shine because he'll have a completely different solution than other candidates will have to offer. Keep in mind, we're going to hear a lot of the same. Even with the Green and Libertarian Party, we're just going to hear more of what we're used to or what we want with those 2 parties. But it's rare when somebody comes along and says, well, guess what? There's more than 2 ways to skin a cat. And I think that's what Zoltan Istvan, what Ben Zion, what Gloria, and all these other individuals that will be there, and even some libertarian candidates may bring to the table, which I think is fascinating. So I think that it's a great opportunity to increase the transhumanist party awareness. I know Ben Zion's been working tirelessly at getting more members. Where are we at with that, by the way, Mr. Zion? I know you have a pretty impressive goal in mind. Have we been making headway on that?
Yeah, we have been making headway in the wake of the merger with the Longevity Party. We've seen a significant uptick in membership, and I'm very pleased. I think that we'll see an even larger uptick in membership in the course of these events towards the end of Q1, not least which is this debate. I think that this will really give people a chance to get eyes on the transhumanist cause and understand what we are doing, understand the public health goals, and these digitalization, e-governance, and techno-optimist outcomes that we hope to see. And this is an important moment, I think, for technologists. And again, I said it at the top of the show, I'm so pleased that I've had a chance to know you, sir. And I thank you for what you do on behalf of techno-futurists and in organizing this event.
I thought you were talking about steel there for a second, because I was going to say
I love steel too. He knows I love it.
Ben, I appreciate that. That's very kind. I really appreciate that. I know that I always give you a hard time, but if I don't give people a hard time, that means I don't like you. So keep that in mind. That's all part of the Wisconsin way. Wisconsin, that's how we say it too. By the way, guys, I really appreciate this opportunity. I want to mention real quick, a little bit off topic for just a second. There recently was a really amazing book that was released, and this kind of comes down to the intellectual. I know we talk a lot about futurism, but a buddy of mine, Bruce Montalvo, and one of the top philosophers in the United States, maybe since Manly P. Hall, Jordan Maxwell, put out a book called The Language of Symbols, which includes a little ditty by yours truly. Make sure if you're out there, you're listening, go check out The Language of Symbols by Bruce Montalvo. Jordan Maxwell, as many of you know, symbolism expert, esotericism expert, and that's one of the things I really enjoy. It's a hobby, learning, just trying to be intellectual and learn a little bit, learn things that, may explain a little bit about where we come from, why we do what we do, why we name the days of the week the way we do. Monday's Moon Days, Sunday's the day you worship the sun, Tuesday's Tyr's Day, Wednesday's Odin's Day, Thursday's Thor's Day, and Saturn Day. And most people don't even know what the days of the week mean.
What's Friday?
Check that out for Frida.
There you go. Yeah, no, yeah. This debate is really cool. Check out the book Symbols. What's it called? Symbols.
The Language of Symbols.
The Language of Symbols. Yeah, that sounds
It's
very
on Amazon.
hieroglyphic-y.
Yeah. I'd like to read your section. That's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I do agree. Thank you very much for participating in the USTP primary. Kriston Harris, as always, you did a wonderful job. You're the dark horse, as we say, and you're doing a fantastic job on the Rundown Live. Everybody should check that out. Or everybody being me, but yeah, no, everybody should check that out. I do enjoy the Rundown Live, and say hi to Scotty for me. I really
Scotty Lopez.
I want to get Scotty on the show. I haven't been doing. I basically went on that show and then didn't get a chance to program him in before I went on holiday. But this is a new year, and I'd love to have Scotty back on. He has really good insights in Wisconsin. How do you say it? I don't know. I have Australian accent.
Wisconsin. I don't know. You Aussies have the best accent ever, and you guys do that cricket thing. Where I don't get it. The game's last 9 hours, and you got a croquet or something like that. You throw the ball.
Test matches last for 5 days.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it. At what point do they come with cots and they just sleep there when they get the tickets, or once they leave, do they just sell new tickets? I have so many questions. At least
with cricket, we actually have international players, like a whole commonwealth of people that actually play cricket, as opposed to baseball, which is a World Series, which is just the United States and Japan. It's literally only the World Series because Japan has to commit players because America says so. Baseball is a terrible game, and people don't even like baseball. They like softball. Actually, softball's much bigger than baseball. But anyway, no, I making fun of me guys now. So yeah, but no, it is good to have you back on. It's good to see you, and well done with this whole Christina Tubin March 4th debate. We're really looking forward to it down there. That's what that is in the clock down there. 27 days, 4 hours, 40 minutes, 15 seconds, counting down to the big debate, and that will elevate the USTP on a PPT onto a national platform, hopefully. And I agree with Ben. I think hopefully we'll see some uptick in membership and huge change in how the debate is played out nationally. As Kriston said, there's more than two ways to skin a cat, and I totally agree. I think this is a very exciting point in the transhumanist movement. I think this
offend all animal activists right now.
And if you have uncertainty about the ways that the transhumanist movement is going to be advanced in the coming years, I mean, you need only look to the kinds of changes that have occurred in recent election cycles. The mandate of the Republican Party has shifted dramatically. The dynamics of both of these parties they're with each passing year, they're just scrambling to figure out what to do to maintain this strange base of power that they've developed. And that's a lot of that is also owing to these new technologies, and we are going to see more and more of that. So when people say that they don't think that the transhumanist cause will be represented to such a high degree as we would hope in the coming years, I would imagine, at least in so many ways, we will see it even more so, and in the ways that we want, getting those greater membership, getting greater interest in what we're doing, getting folks talking about things like a fully realized direct digital democracy, like a public health service and public health initiatives that treat aging as a disease. These are the things that we are going to fight for, and they become realities as we see those kind of acceleration effects that we alluded to earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. And what else have you got? What else have you got in store for us there, Kriston? Have you got any other news to talk to us about, or do you want to move on to Trump?
Well, first I want to mention that if listeners want to pick up tickets for the Chicago event, they're available on freeandequal.org. Make sure you guys pick them up. We are accepting donations. We have donors. If you own a business, if you're Thrivous out there and you want to enhance this mail, get out there, contact Christina Tobin, reach out to me, Kriston, Kristan, at freeandequal.org. And we are always looking for additional sponsors. That includes Detonation. We'll be televising live, obviously, as well as streaming. So make sure you guys check out freeandequal.org and check that out and get involved. If you're not getting involved and you're not investing, you have to ask yourself, what are you actually doing for the cause? And look at yourself. How are you going to impact the world around you? How are you going to impact change? If you're really upset about the way things are going and you're just complaining, you're not really doing anything about it. So take that first step, get out there, and if you can't, you don't have the time, donate.
Yeah,
Yes.
I
Yes,
totally.
If you can't make it to Chicago, if you're one of those folks who is some kind of transhumanist party supporter internationally or some kind of booster who's not able to travel on that day, have a look at the comment, the link that we've shared, freeandequal.org/blockchain. This is the mandate of the Futurist New Deal and the United States Transhumanist Party. We should view these folks as our partners in this. And you should do precisely what Kristan has said, make a similar donation or some other kind of donation along those lines to this organization, because they're doing this good work.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will, Kristan will send me a link, and I will leave that link in the description. So you make sure you check out that link. If you live in Chicago, if you're going to Chicago, or if you want to head along and support it, do that, or donate, or if you're a company, jump in there and have a look, see if you want to sponsor. If you want to sponsor this event, you're sponsoring a good cause. We are talking about America, and we are talking about the diversity of conversation, because we actually do have quite a good democracy down here in Australia, but you Americans need all the help you can get, and that's why I'm throwing.
Well, I don't know. You guys got those carbon taxes you all want to get rid of, huh?
We got rid of them already.
Oh, see? Well, you guys are getting it done.
Well, that's because we have a functioning democracy that actually is representative. So it's don't worry about Australia. Australia is actually quite good when it comes to
Australia, right? Half of it burned down just recently.
Representative proportional democracy with two actual functioning houses and a prime minister and a queen for checks and balances. We're doing all right. Don't worry about us. But you guys over there, you guys have got a crazy system that you need to. You need to actually let people speak, and this is horrible. And what's happened to Bernie Sanders, what happened to Ron Paul, all the way through, there's just sort of been this overpowering institutional control from this courtocracy that's sort of developed through this two-party system in the United States. So definitely. So Free and Equal, check out that link. Kristan's got you covered. If you need to donate, check that out as well. The clock is in the corner, so stay tuned to Detonation to keep up with when it's going to happen. And we will be having a special. That's it. You got it, Chris. And we will be having a special debate. We'll run up to that. We'll stream it, and then we'll dissect it after, and we'll say what happened in more than 2 words. So yes, fantastic. Kristan, anything else?
Are we moving on to Trump, or is that it? No,
we can move on to Trump if that's all you've got for the Free and Equal.
I mean, that's all I have. I mean, you guys, if your heart it really tells you want to donate, and maybe you don't want to donate to the Free and Equal Network, do donate to your cause, whether it's a transhumanist party, pirate party, whatever it is that you guys want to do, you can do. Whether it's just don't be religious about it. Just understand that imperfect people can't lead other people. It's just the way it is. They're there to vote and represent you as best as they can. That's all I got.
Cool. Thanks. All right. Well, yeah. Well, let's go into this Iowa. We did the Iowa caucus. Kristan, what did you think of the State of the Union address? Did you see it? Did you get a chance to see it? If you did, what did you think about it? There was some Nancy Pelosi who tore some stuff up. So you had some Democrats walk out. You had half the crowd standing up and clapping. You had the other half sitting down. What do you think?
Well, there's a sarcastic saying out there. It's only way to beat stupid is to go down to stupid's level and beat them in stupidity. And for the Democrats complaining so much about Donald Trump's Twitter account, he sure, in other things, I want to say one thing that about this candidate that's currently running. There's a lot of candidates prior to him that said they were going to do something and didn't do it. And he's actually improved unemployment in the inner city communities. And I think he's got more minority voters than any other candidate in the GOP history. For somebody who's allegedly racist, it's pretty impressive to see that he's actually impacting change. I would have to say he's the most loved and hated candidate at the same time. I think I think that he's unbeatable in 2020. I think that that's the major concern. That's why we have this whole fiasco with the impeachment. That was their last shot to get rid of the guy, and now they can't get rid of him, and they're going to have to deal with 4 more years of him. And I don't know. I don't know if we'll have another JFK scenario. The conspiratorial side says, you never know. On the other aspect, is this really the best that Americans have to offer? Is Donald Trump really it? I mean, he did take a big front load of controversy and still make headway. Unemployment's at an all-time low. I can't say the economy is doing good like they claim, but I know a lot of people are on welfare, which is huge. That means less burden on the taxpayer dollars. And he created a space army, to combat those evil aliens we all see in all those movies there. So as long as we got that in Project Blue Book, I think we're okay.
Yeah, the Space Force. Ben Zion, what do you think?
Yes, Space Force. Just kidding.
Well, sorry, what was the question?
Your analysis is quite different. You were saying that you think Donald Trump is beatable. Kristen Harris saying unbeatable. What's your pathway to defeat Donald Trump? If so, you think that that's a good thing?
Well, I mean, to say that Donald Trump is eminently beatable is to set aside all of those kind of duopoly and micromanagement problems that we described that are very, very hard. This controlled opposition Pied Piper strategy of 2016, this idea that these are the two choices and nobody likes these two people, whoever they are in 2020, but that's all you got. You got, and there's only one way to decide this, and it's through this absurdly micromanaged process. And so if there was democracy in America, yeah, there wouldn't be a Trump in the first place. We wouldn't have those kind of false choices foisted upon us. Are we going to change that situation in the course of the next 9 months? Maybe not. But I do think that to some degree, as we mentioned in the last show, I think that Trump and a lot of these other Democrats, people like Buttigieg, they are these kind of paper tigers. But that paper is very well protected and insulated by this sort of institutional corruption that surrounds the two-party system.
All right, that's it. Is there anything else, Kristan, you wanted to talk about? Otherwise, we'll wrap it up there. What do you say?
I mean, I got something really special in the works. It's completely unrelated. My passion, obviously, in symbolism and esotericism, alternative history. I'm launching a new website, basically a reporting and journalist website on esotericism called the Esoteric Journal. So look for that. It's kind of a hobby, kind of a passion on the side from. I'm just sick of news, I guess, so. Yeah,
the news cycle is it gets exhausting after a while.
But look for me on TV on March 4th. I might be there, so I'll definitely be there. But I might try to sneak in and photobomb.
Are you going to get C-SPAN? Is C-SPAN going to be there?
I can't speak. We're in talks with some pretty impressive people. I'm not one to make any promises. I know that historically, Larry King, actually how it happened is we were giving away free tickets on major AM and FM radio stations for the event in Chicago, and he overheard that, and he contacted Christina Tobin, and actually he asked if he could moderate, which that's a no-brainer when you're talking about Larry King, But we've reached out to, as well as Larry King, Many other people, other names like Joe Rogan, we've gotten responses from. Names like Ron Paul, Ralph Nader have been thrown around. We'd like to get both those people, Ralph Nader and Ron Paul would be a great debate, but we really don't know. We really don't know. We might end up with Natasha Vita Moore. Who knows? Just kidding.
Yeah, any of those names would be great, and it doesn't conflict with any of their ideologies. Ron Paul definitely very strong in supporting alternative views as a libertarian. Larry King, he looks kind of tired. He's doing politicking on RT, I guess, looking a bit tired, but he might be able to commit. And any of the other people, I really hope, just for televised sake, and they might have connections, and connections lead to connections, and this is what we want. But this is the sort of stuff that is really good for the USTP. For Benzion 2020 and for the debate, the national debate in the United States.
And I want to point out, even though she was a punchline, I still believe in solidarity and solidarity. And I was just teasing because it's always fun. If I don't make fun of you, that means I don't like you. So
yeah, I am really excited to see also the other candidates that might throw their hat into the ring in the coming days. But certainly this moderator and the prospect of a Larry King, a Joe Rogan. I mean, just to sit us across from Ralph Nader and Ron Paul. That's very exciting prospect. So. This is a wonderful sort of thing. Okay.
Some leaks and none of it may happen. Like I told you, I told Benzion when I first conversated with him that there's a chance none of this will happen. Well, now it's happening, but there's no guarantee on the moderators. We don't have a magic 8-ball. We got to buy one of those things so we can figure out what's going on. So.
Fantastic. Well, the news is good. This is good news. Moderator, no moderator, the news so far is good. We are excited for this. 27 days, 4 hours. Stay tuned to Detonation for all your March 4th debate news. Benzion will be there. Zoltan Itzman will be there. So that's what we really care about, intermeshed with a lot of different other political candidates.
I'll be there.
And Kriston Harris will be there. That's the most important thing. And thank you and Christina Tubin as well. You guys are doing a great job. So this is really, really exciting stuff. We thank you very much. Well, that's coming to the end of Detonation for today. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Listen, we've got a little thing. Write in the comments what time you would like to see Detonation on a fixed time, because you guys are in America, I'm in Australia, so if you like to watch it at 6 p.m., whatever, Mountain Time or New York time or whatever, write that in the comments. I need to know, because I want to know what times to go live and what time suits you guys best across the week. I can change over the days as well, so I need to know. So write in the comments what your times are that you like to tune into Detonation. You would like to, because I'll go to fixed times. We're moving to fixed times.
Hey, still, if you go to fixed times, I will commit to airing you on the Rundown Live Radio, which airs on iHeartRadio. It's a live stream live stream talk. There's so many different platforms we're on, but I started a internet radio station, and your homies Lev and Jules have a new show that's coming out called Acculturate. That will be 1 or 2 days a week, but if you're going 4 or 5 days a week, we can have you on as well. And I have other people, and it's a very simple process to get you to broadcast live on those networks. So if you do commit to being at the same time, same days a week, reach out to me. I'll make sure that we can get you some more listens. So,
all right, fantastic. Thank you very much for that.
And I think
even if it's 3 in the morning,
6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern is a really good time for as far as that does seem to be what people are commenting. That's just my 2 cents. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Thank you very much. No, we so write that in the comments, and thanks very much, Kriston. And so maybe I'll be appearing on the Rundown Live. That's really exciting. All right, cool. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Thrivous is on a mission to help you access technology with the greatest potential to improve your brain and body. They do this through nootropics and geoprotectors. This episode of Detonation was sponsored by Thrivous, the human enhancement company. Thrivous is giving exponential gifts to Detonation fans. Each starts at $5 and heads up to $160. So check out the rules in the description. You've got 24 hours to do that. You can enter it as well, Kriston, YouTube, and Zion. You guys can enter that competition. No restrictions on that. And also check out Raft 2035. Roadmap, Abundance, Flourishing, Transcendence by 2035. This is a great book, people. You got to really, really, really get onto this. Have a research about it. We'll have David Wood on really soon, coming up on Wednesday to talk about this. This is, I'm telling you, I keep reading it, and it just gets better and better and better. So please look that up. Have a read. It's really good. March 4th debate. That's Kriston Harris, Ben Zion 2020. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on. And we'll see you all again tomorrow with Ben Zion. That's it. Detonation. All more coming to you all this way, all this week.